Today I have a surprise for you. We're gonna make one of the most loved Greek dishes by children and adults as well. It's called Pastitsio. But I'm making many shortcuts that will make it so much easier to make and yet so delicious. I'll teach you all those shortcuts and great results at the end through this video. I cut my recipe into 3 parts: the sauce, the pasta, and the bechamel. So for the meat sauce, I just use 1 pound of beef, ground beef, and I saute it, and actually to reduce a little bit from the richness of the dish, since it is very rich, I saute it with its own fat, so I don't add oil or butter to saute the meat. We'll start then, and then I'll show you the pasta that I use, and we'll boil it and make sure it's al dente, so it continues to cook in the oven after. And then the bechamel sauce, which is gonna top it. Let's get started. Here I have the 1 pound of meat. I just put it in a hot pot, and I'm stir frying it, kind of, just to get it all turned gray. And then I will add some salt, pepper. My secret ingredient into the sauce is a little bit of mint, about a tablespoon of dried mint. And to make the sauce, I use ready tomato basil marinara sauce, which I buy here at Trader Joe. You can choose any non-meat sauce that you like, really, but it makes things so much faster, so much easier, and great and delicious at the end. As you see here, I stir-fried the meat, and actually it gave out quite a bit of fat. I took out some of that too, because I don't want it to be too heavy. So at this point, I'm going to add the salt. I'll add a teaspoon of salt and 1/4 of a teaspoon or more if you like, black pepper, and my mint, tablespoon of mint. Make sure it's like really fine. I'll add that. I'll saute, mix again, and into this I will pour the ready sauce that I have. And I will fill this halfway or 3/4 of a way with water, and I'll pour it into this mixture here and let it boil so the flavor gets all together in a way. And at the end, I will add a little bit of oregano. I don't put the oregano early on. It tends to make things a little bit bitter if it boils too long. So, and this is the sauce. We'll let it simmer until it's the perfect texture and flavors are all mingled together, and we have a delicious, wonderful sauce to add into our pastitsio. Now, while the sauce is simmering and let it thicken a little bit, I will be adding the oregano. I'll show you that part. But meanwhile, we're going to be doing the bechamel sauce. Here's a pot that has nothing in it, and I have here 3 tablespoons of flour, just all-purpose flour, as you see. I will be adding them into the pot as it is empty. And I'll mix so I can toast a little bit the flour. I think that adds another layer of flavor, and it makes the flour a little bit nuttier. When it starts turning a little bit golden or like tan, that's the point where I'm going to be adding 2 tablespoons of butter and 1 tablespoon of oil. And I'm going to be using vegetable oil. The oil tends to make the flour melt better and not curdle and not crumble. It makes things much smoother and much easier to melt into a one textured sauce, velvety sauce. Here I have 2 tablespoons of butter. I'm going to add them in, and they will slowly melt. And then a tablespoon of oil, and into this we will be adding milk. For these 3 tablespoons of flour, about 2 cups of milk, but we'll start and I'll tell you exactly how much milk it took. Here I measured 2 cups of milk. I'm gonna start pouring slowly, very slowly, because you don't want this mixture to curdle. If you put it all together, the flour is gonna curdle all together and become lumpy. And if you find it easier to take it off the heat a little bit, it gives you more time to mix and assure that the mixture is mixing smoothly with no curdles, and then you can put it back on your stove again. Anytime you cook with flour or with any thickening agent like corn flour, the total thickness of the sauce shows when the mixture comes to a boil. So you can't tell how thick the mixture is until it comes to a boil again. I will go ahead now, since it's safe. I added all 2 cups of milk. I continue to mix until it bubbles. At this time, I can also add a tiny bit of salt. I'll put half a teaspoon, let's start with 1/4 of a teaspoon, and then I'll taste and see how it goes. Good. Because we will be adding to this as well a couple of eggs. Now the amount of eggs vary. I used to make it with 1 egg, which is good. 2 eggs is even better. Many people do it with even more eggs, up to 4 eggs, but that becomes really too much and too thick and too rich, which takes away from other elements in the dish itself. So I think 2 eggs is a good balance. We can add as well white pepper if you want the sauce to continue to be completely white with no black specks into it. But I don't mind having tiny bit of black specks from black pepper, because I like the taste of black pepper more than the white pepper. I do have white pepper, which I don't really use too often. I didn't care for its taste. Make sure to continue stirring, because you don't want the flour, the weight of the flour to go to the bottom of the pot and then it gets burned or curdled. So you will need to continuously mix the bechamel sauce until it thickens. Some people like a lot of bechamel sauce on top of your pastitsio. You can always double this amount and have a thicker layer of that on top. It's up to you and what you tend to like more. Okay, we're almost coming to a boil, and I feel the sauce thickening. I'll show you how it coats the spoon, just like that. So, see, it's thick. That's where I turn off the stove. I take it off, and at this point I will add about a quarter of a teaspoon grounded nutmeg, and let it cool tiny bit, and then I'll add one egg at a time, stirring very vigorously for the egg not to cook in this thick bechamel sauce. I'm adding the nutmeg. It goes really well with bechamel sauce, and at this point it cooled a little bit, so I can mix in the egg without the egg curdling on me. So, and another good idea, the eggs normally when we use in baking, we use them at room temperature. In bechamel sauce, I'd rather have cold eggs so they don't cook very quickly as I drop them into the hot mixture here. So this is one egg. I'm gonna just make sure that it's completely dissolved before it gets cooked. See how nice and smooth that is. Now I'm gonna add the other egg, and if you feel that the sauce is too thick, add a little bit more milk, because it's gonna thicken a little bit further as it's baked as well. And I like that sauce to seep within the pasta and the red sauce within the pasta. I don't like to have just a block of layer of bechamel sauce sitting on top. I like it to go through into the pasta as well, so it flavors furthermore the whole dish and connect all the parts of the dish together. We will have at the end a layer of bechamel topping the pasta, but I like a little seepage into between the pasta pieces inside. So this is ready. Now I'm gonna show you what happened to the red sauce, and we will be adding the oregano there. And also another secret ingredient that I think it makes this dish a lot better. Okay, at this point the sauce is boiling. It has thickened quietly, you know, even though I took out the fat that seeped from the meat, but you will see that there is quite a bit to flavor the dish. So we didn't get rid of it completely. At this point, I will add about half a teaspoon of oregano as well, and mix it in. And my other secret ingredient that I have talked about is fresh ricotta. I will add about 2 tablespoons of fresh ricotta into this red sauce to make it pink sauce, and it gives it a really nice touch for that pastitsio. It goes really well with the bechamel sauce and all the layers that it's going on. So let's do that. I will turn off the stove here. I reached the thickness that I need, and this sauce that I used from Trader Joe, it really has really nice tanginess into it, which I think it brightens the flavors of the sauce too. So this is one heaping spoon, and here's another heaping spoon, and let's mix it in just like that. You try it and you will never make the pastitsio without this part. Trust me. Okay, so the pasta I like to use, also this varies between preferences. the original pasta that they use is a thick pasta that is long for the pastitsio. But I feel that Rigatoni is the best type that I like to use, and that is because the tubes are short. I'll show you. Short and thick. It has a big thick hole that sauce can fill in and seep inside, and those little lines on the pasta gets the sauce to attach to the pasta, and you have flavors in every bite. I think this is the best type of pasta to use for pastitsio, at least in my point of view. So I boiled the pasta al dente with a lot of water and quite a bit of salt, which flavors the pasta even further. And now I will pour this pink sauce that we have over the pasta. Some people, they layer just plain pasta and then they put the sauce on top of that and then the bechamel. I like to do it this way because I feel you get more flavor into the whole dish, and like I said, I like that sauce to seep into the holes of the pasta. So you just make sure that you mix pretty well and all the pasta is completely covered. And don't feel that the sauce is a lot. The sauce is not a lot. It's nice, and it makes a big difference when you have really saucy pastitsio rather than dry pastitsio. Now I have prepared my Pyrex dish here. I just rubbed it with a tiny bit of butter at the bottom. Here I have the pasta in the sauce going into this Pyrex dish. And now we will pour over it the bechamel sauce. I like to make like this with a spoon so the bechamel sauce can seep also in a little bit. I'm pouring the bechamel over the pasta here, and the bechamel is always like, if you feel that it's too runny, you can always put it back on the stove and stirring continuously, getting it a little bit thicker. I like it a little runny, and if it is too thick, you always can make it a little bit more runny by adding some more milk and bringing it to a boil as you continuously stir. So here I have this ready to enter into a preheated oven of 355 degrees, and it will take about 45 minutes or so. There you go, moment of truth. Pastitsio is ready. I took it out of the oven and I let it sit on the counter for about 10 minutes before I cut it, for the sauces and everything just to relax and stop boiling. It's gonna be easier to cut and also to eat. Let's cut it and see. First piece is always a challenge, especially when it's hot still. When it cools down, it cuts much easier and in more perfected way. Here is how it looks. And I wish I can show you how it tastes. But delicious. One of the best pastizios I ever had. Every time I cook it, I say the same thing. Enjoy, cook it, and let me know what you think. Comment at the bottom, and if you like this, subscribe and like. Have a great day.